Welcome to Carbon Conversations, a podcast by Biochar Life, where we explore the cutting edge of environmental solutions. From biochar to smart agriculture to the climate tech revolution, we sit down with experts and business leaders at the forefront of change. This is your host, Matt Rickard. Hey, Wangari. Good afternoon. Welcome to the podcast. Or good morning, sorry. Afternoon for me, but good morning for yourself.
Good morning. Good morning. Hi, Matt. Good to see you.
And you. Well, we've had a little bit of an introduction, but only probably spoken for 5 or so minutes. So it's great, I think, to have you on the podcast. Maybe a good starting point is just for our listeners, just to give a bit of background on yourself, Farmer on Fire, and then we can get into some of the details of how you started it and what the work you do and everything else. So.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be on this platform. Thank you. I think our core business is majorly on providing access to information for farmers. So we do seek out opportunities to reach even more people. So thank you so much, Matt, for offering this space. My name is Wangari Kuria. Popularly, I'm known on the digital space as the Farmer on Fire. This is a farmer who's not just farming in the traditional way. He's a farmer who's consciously understanding that there are other aspects at play. So we are based in Nairobi, Kenya, and we also farm mushroom farm. We have mushroom farms and we train in that as well. But we also do insect farming. We are big on BSFL, which is a black soldier fly. Worm farming, we feel, is the future, and that's how we're going to be able to feed the people in a sustainable way and be able to take care of our landfills and our waste, organic waste that is rotting away, emitting so much emissions and methane into our air. And through that, now we have a connection to the insect farming department where we have chickens that are grown organically, and we have aquaponics that also go to grow these chickens. So basically, that's Farm on Fire. That's what we do, and what we do is support small scaleholder farmers to become economically economic. The word economic is very central to our core. It is to empower them economically to realize profit from agriculture.
Cool. Look, I'm interested to know, and we'll get into the details of what you just said in terms of the aspects of the actual work. But what inspired you to start Farmer on Fire? How far does it go back? Like, is it something you'd always dreamed of doing? Is it? Yeah. How did it come about in your life when you made this decision?
Yeah, it goes way back. Like blood farming is in me. I grew up in the rural areas, a very cold region in Nyandarua that is very agricultural based. So we grow a lot of potatoes, a lot of peas, a little bit of everything. And I realized that that's how my mom was able to cut costs in our family, because she could be able to produce food, and that meant we didn't have the pressure of going to bed hungry. And for me, that was important because I tugged along every day, and I got my first tools when I was quite small, around 4. My mom didn't want me to get bored in the farm, and so she tagged me along, and it was very exciting. However, I never saw her sell anything. It was just for a subsistence, to give to relatives, to give to friends. She was very generous, apparently. But I was like, if I want to make a career out of this won't work because it doesn't have any money. It's the notion of farming is for peasants. It's for people who didn't go to school. It's not quite a career per se, but I am here to confirm that farming can be a career. It has supported me since I lost my job in 2017. That's around 8 years going, and it can actually give you good money. And I'm just going to quote the African Development Bank director, CEO, who confirms that the next billionaires in Africa will be from agriculture. And this is a reality that I'm living, and I'm trying to empower my community as much as possible to first debunk the notion that farming is backward, and for them to see it as a possibility and a solution to the high unemployment in the rates in the country, lift up their livelihoods, let them engage more with safe food and nutrition, because to some extent we have kind of outsource this responsibility that someone else should give us the food we eat, And in that way, we are being reckless and not appreciating that our bodies are nurtured by good food and food that is grown sustainably. I'm sure, Matt, you're going to chime in on this in terms of how our soils are proportionally dependent with our health. They go hand in hand, those two things coexist. So we need to take more charge and more responsibility and have a relationship with our food sources.
Cool. I think it's great what you're doing. I watched the video of you accepting the Global Citizenship Award. So congratulations on that. And you also talked there a little bit about the commercial aspect of this, which I think is so important. If I just paraphrase how I see your organization, and then if I get it wrong, please correct me. But you essentially, work with these villages to teach them about the land, about farming techniques, about particular crops. But it's not just that. You show them also how to commercialize that process. So take that from the field to the market essentially, and create that loop. So there's a business around what they're doing, and then hopefully that is able to expand through generations, I assume. So yeah, that's how I see it. Hopefully that's a good paraphrasing of what you do, but tell me if not.
Yes, so community development is at our core, and we are not an NGO. So
Yeah.
we have foundation for the needy people in society, but we are saying there's still a huge population here who are small scaleholder farmers who do still farm, but they don't see it consciously as a business. And what we try to do to kind of work on their mindset, to change it to see, oh, I can make an income from this, I can employ myself, I can employ others. And so what we do is we go to these rural areas and these villages and work mostly with the women groups, and even the men are allowed to join in to cultivate that culture of farming as a business, to see how do we become more efficient in these small lots and small plots of land, and how do we get even to market. Seeing that money come around, you mentioned the loop, closing that loop. It's not enough to empower someone on how to make a candle. Actually go with them to the market and show them, oh, these are the market rates, these are the pricing, and you can do this. And if you prove on things like branding and specific markets that are high level, you can be able to fetch a little bit more on your product. And just watching them realize how that money comes back into their pocket, it's so empowering for us, and that's what fuels us. So you mentioned the Global Citizen Prize, which I got after working with the community. So I used to live in the city, desk job, good life, all that we hope for when we go to university. But then my job, the company went down, and I found myself without a job. So I moved to Masai Land, which is a bit of an arid area. But I figured out how to do irrigation, started farming, just minding my own business. But then I realized my children, my daughter especially, loves to play with our neighboring daughter who has sold all this land. The dad was a chief, so he has sold all this land that we live in, and these new immigrants. So they are very good friends, and I realized the girl had been sold off to marriage. So when my daughter told me this and she's crying, I'm like, what is going on? And so I went to the mother who I know very closely, and I talked to her, what is happening? What happened to your daughter? And she's like, the cows are dying because our livestock is grass fed. And then we have not had rains for a really long time. And we don't know about, zero grazing. It's not our way of life. So how we empower ourselves economically is by selling the cows and the goats and the sheep, and now they are dying. No one even in the slaughterhouse will take them anymore. They're so malnourished, and so the next best thing is to sell off our daughter to try and survive and get an income. And for me, that didn't make any sense. And that's when I came up with the initiative to try and bring the Maasai women together, create these African huts, houses that were made of mud, that were very cool. And we would set up mushroom farms, and I would take that and take them to the market, and we would do it together and bring back for the group. which was working very well. However, I was sharing this journey on social media, and someone got, I didn't apply for the award. I was just told, oh, you have been nominated and you're going to New York. And I'm like, how do you even get that visa? I hear they're very hard to get. And they were like, no, 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 don't worry. IFAD is sorting everything. And I was very excited. It was nice to be recognized, but that's not why we do it. But it was nice to see the big city.
Cool. Well, congratulations on that. And look, congratulations on building something that certainly looks to be successful. You know, you're clearly smart. You're an entrepreneur. And when you talk about it, you make it sound easy, but it is never easy growing something like this. So talk to us about what have been some of the biggest challenges in going from, idea to essentially scale, which you now have. And what have been some of the biggest challenges throughout that process in terms of realizing success with your organization?
Yes, thank you very much. So for us, it has to make money. And one of the biggest challenges is that my gender in my community, which is very conservative, is like, I am not the norm. Women should stay in on this side, and the men are trained in this community. Men should stay on this side. And so when I'm trying to do masculinity things and fighting in the marketplace and showing other women how they can also get an income and destabilize all this cultural aspect, that has been, I think, my greatest challenge, because it affects me. And I'm like, oh, how do I let these women know that they can enjoy all their human rights and not just accept rights, but they can also fully participate and give back to their community and know why they're in this world. And for the other gender and the men in my community to say, what is this lady trying to do? Well, it's not the norm for them. And so they will try to correct that because that's what they've been taught, that's what they know. And so I get a lot of backlash and a lot of attacks because they don't know any better. In a way, I don't blame them. They just are trying to fix a problem. Anyway, so that's my biggest challenge. And that's why I'm even coming up with the Women in Agribusiness Conference. It is not for
Cool.
farmers. Yes, it's on 1st November. I invite you to come and pop in and have a look. Men are also invited. We realize we have to do this as a community because women have been the ones feeding us, have been the ones. And I know you're in Thailand. When you look out when you're traveling in the rural areas, it is the women who are tilling the land. It is the women who are actually engaging with the soil to produce this food. However, they have very few rights in terms of decision making, acquiring land, so many limitations around the food systems, that yet our food system is on their backs, literally. For me, it's just to give them that audience, a seat at the table to ask them, what are solutions? What does the solution look like to your current situation? And so that is also a way that I'm trying to tackle that gender aspect. The second challenge is obviously market. We have good producers, people who understand how to farm, but it stops there. They don't want to explore the value chain. And so for me, it's just to tell people, you keep saying there is no market, there is no market. However, if we come to the consumer and ask him, do you feel you're getting enough tomatoes and cabbages? And and the consumer is like, these things I don't even know where to get them. They're so expensive. We are a net importer in Kenya. And so I'm like, this is not adding up. There is a gap somewhere between the producers and the market. And my job is to be very intentional in linking these two and telling farmers, yes, you've grown very nice crop, but no one will know that you have this amazing produce. You need to tell people, you need to communicate, you need to get into these communities and tell people that you have this thing because they are looking for it. They are seeking it out. So for us, market is very important, and that's a big challenge as well. And lastly, climate change. Climate change, there has been a bit of a challenge in our environment, erratic weather, pests, that are foreign, that have come just attacking our crops, fall armyworms, chemicals in terms of pesticides and chemical fertilizer. And thank you for being on this space and championing for safer soils and more better ecosystems that are richer and more sustainable. That's quite a big conversation and a big challenge, but we can't stop. And that's where now I come in with advocacy and the governance and telling people policies that don't favor us in the long run should not be adhered to. We are part of a democracy. Public participation is necessary. Yeah, so those are some of the answers to your question.
Cool. Thank you. Just on the last point, actually, I know with the climate change impact, with the impacts of climate change, you've been working on specific programs, right, where you're looking at certain crops that can help to reduce that impact and increase food security. Is that right? So you'll look at particular programs around mushrooms or other crops that can be put in place to mitigate the effects. Is that right?
Yes. So the first one is definitely mushroom because it is a high crop. So back to the money.
Yeah.
And then number two, it grows indoors. So that means you can be able to grow it all year round. And then it's regenerating in that it uses very little space, which you have a shortage. It uses less water, it uses less resources. And if you compare it, it's a quite significant protein source compared to things cows, which are very inefficient. So for me, I'm looking at it from that angle of how do we adapt to climate change challenges and how do we make more money? And mushrooms are very nutritious, but also fetch a good price in the market. The second product that we work with is on the chicken, but growing it sustainably. A lot of farmers in Kenya have quit livestock farming because of the high cost of production. We don't produce protein in the country. Our animal feeds need soya as a protein source and fish meal, which makes overfishing an issue for our planet. And then number two, we don't produce soya. It comes from Tanzania. It comes from Southern African countries, Malawi, Zambia, Zimbabwe, which means that commute, by the time it's getting to the country, it's very expensive and has emitted a lot of carbon in transit. And for us is try and see, yes, insect farming is foreign to us, but there is a way we can be able to meet this huge population coming in around 2050 of 10 billion people. How do we still do it at a lower cost, at a more efficient way, and at a more planet-friendly way? And that's why we go into insect farming, and that spreads out chicken, it spreads out into fish farming, it spreads out into value addition, pet food, so many things that we do as well.
You have a lot on your plate. You certainly do.
Right.
And the other thing actually that you haven't mentioned, which I'm pretty sure is a big focus as well, is education within the youth, for youth within the community, right? So I know a big part of what you like to do is create awareness for youth, so they're thinking about this as they think about careers and what they're doing later in life. How do you approach that, and how do you inspire the younger generations to have the right approach in terms of farming and food?
For us, we are very intentional in creating the excitement and making farming sexy and slave for the soil. And, we feel like storytelling and debunking myths and changing culture has to be very intentional, has to be, in a very way that you pull people fast. And I know we talked about that business is never easy, but you have to first change that mindset for people to have the possibility. So for us, we do that in a big way. And then once they're in, now we are like, take this as a business. Just because you grew up in a farming community doesn't automatically mean you can grow food profitably. And so we will work with you, provide end-to-end support, and just channel it that way. And we have seen a lot of people coming in and liking that vibe that, oh, farming is cool again, farming is sexy, and farming is, look at this lady, she has a master's in agriculture, she has she's a global trotter, and she loves the soil. She's proud. She has dignity that she's feeding her people, and just that notion really goes a long way into pulling these young people and creating that excitement that they can also do it. They don't have to stay broke at home and complain, oh, I have papers, I'm tamaking all day. And do something with your backyard.
Cool stuff. Look, I know you've already achieved a lot. You've come a long way, but what are some of the longer term goals if you look over the next 2, 3, 4, 5, even 10 years with Farmer on Fire? What are some of the big things you want to do in the future? And also maybe linked to that, where do you see partnerships fitting in? This is the first time we've properly spoken. And I can see just how much opportunity is to work, with our two organizations and other organizations I know in Kenya. So yeah, talk to us a bit about your goals, your ambitions for, Farmer on Fire and where partnerships play a role in your growth.
Yes. The dreams are huge. They are very scary. They're too big, but we are bigger. So we realize that we are a trailblazer. So we can't be scared of going further and pushing those boundaries. So we are open to partners who are coming in to help us realize our dream. And the dream is going big on value addition. It is such a waste that 47% of all food produced in Africa ends up in the bin.
Wow.
If you go to there's tomatoes, but tomatoes have a shelf life of a week. What happens after that? We have mangoes, sweet. I know you've tasted some of our fruits. Amazing, amazing produce, but it's highly perishable. And for me, it's just to try and pivot this into a way of packaging it and increasing the shelf life. And so we have plans of trying to think we need dryers, we need grinders, we need packaging machines. Going fully organic for us, especially with the FRAS, the organic fertilizer that comes from the insect farming. Trying to package this so that it's available to everyone who might want it. Also talking about the benefits of going in an organic lifestyle. We also have organic soaps now, which are in shops, organic oils, organic candles, to pushing that commercialization of produce to the next level. And I think bringing the community with us and saying we are leaving nobody behind. We are doing this. We offer training. Our farm is an open shop. Everyone can come and can keep coming in until that sinks in that, oh, this is how to do it. It's actually a very simple concept if summarized. Because sometimes when you first tell someone all this, they feel overwhelmed and their brain is fighting them in a lot of but we tell them our farm is open and they can keep coming in and understanding and watching and doing internships. We have even people who sleep here for a week to just try and fully understand what does this do and how do I replicate that back home. So we are open to partners, and specifically for our Women in Agriculture conference, we are inviting 20 students from Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture to mentor these women that you don't have to finish your degree, graduate, and then start saying, I need a job. No, create the job for yourself and employ another 25 people like Farm on Fire. So, yeah, the dreams are big, the business plans are there. So, we are open to having these conversations.
Cool. Awesome stuff. Look, I didn't have any more questions. It's been really insightful to talk to you. I really commend you on what you've done, and I look forward to speaking more actually outside of the podcast, just in terms of the ways we can work together. Before we finish, though, you mentioned the conference. Is there somewhere that people can learn about, whether they want to come to that conference? And also, do you want to just share your website or other ways that people can get in contact or anything else that you need, I suppose, where people might be able to help?
Yes, so our website is www.farmeronfire. So farmeronfire.com, that's our website. We have a landing page for the event as well. And the brand is Farmer on Fire on all social media platforms, on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. So if you just type Farmer on Fire, you will be able to have an access to all this and how you can participate in the event. You can also email us at farmeronfire1@gmail.com. Hopefully you can add that
I will
to
do.
so that people can come to the event. We're inviting people. We want this to be a huge event where the Kenyan people are not just seeing that we have to rely on help from outside. Even us, we can take this on using the help. Because even me, I have been supported by people who have taken me through training, capacity building, accelerators. And now I'm giving back and I'm showing people that, oh, when you go to these workshops, this is how you implement it. And so we want to show people that, oh, Farmer on Fire can do it. So even us, we should really take this and believe in ourselves as a people for it to be sustainable. Otherwise, we will always be dependent. So yeah, we are hoping to get a big crowd and very excited and hopefully to see you, Matt.
Cool. I don't know if I can make it over there because I'm in the US the week before, but we will definitely meet at some point. Look, for anyone watching or listening, I'll leave all of those links in the speaker notes, and also, as the event gets closer, happy to promote it through our network. So Wangari, it's been lovely to meet. I look forward to speaking further beyond this podcast, and congratulations on everything you've done so far.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.